Today I'm going to show you how to work the traveling stitches one by one left purl cross and one by one right purl cross to get a beautiful textured pattern like you see here in this little swatch. I'm going to first show you how to do the left purl cross, where the one by one left purl cross, where the knit stitches travel to the left. And I'm going to show you how to do this in English style knitting and continental knitting without a cable needle. And secondly, I'm going to show you how to do the other side, and that is the one by one right purl cross, where the knit stitches travel to the right. I'm going to show you the left purl cross first, the one by one left purl cross, and in this one we're going to cross a knit stitch over a purl stitch, and that makes the knit stitches traveling to the left. I'm going to show you in continental knitting first and then in English style second, and I'm going to show you this without using a cable needle because it's a lot faster and easier, especially have a project where you have to work a lot of traveling stitches. My little swatch here has a selvage stitch at the beginning and the end, and so my little swatch here starts with a knit one selvage stitch. And the next stitch here is already a one by one left purl cross. This first stitch here is the beginning of what will later become one of those beautiful knit traveling stitches here, and I'm going to cross these two over each other with the knit stitch being the one that stays in front to create the pattern. So I'm going to bring my yarn to the front, and then I'm going to change the order of those stitches. So let's have a closer look. I'm going to insert my right hand needle. I'm going to go behind the first stitch and I'm going to insert it through the purl stitch as if to purl, and then I'm using my thumb on the right hand. I'm going to press it against the needle, and I'm going to lock in both of those stitches so they don't really go anywhere. And then I'm going to insert my left hand needle back through the stitch that now hangs here. That's the knit stitch. And then I'm bringing back the purl stitch as well. So I've now changed the order of those stitches, and then I can work them as purl and as knit. And that's how it works. So I'm going to purl here up to my next one by one purl cross. So I'm going to cross these two stitches over each other. And for that, I bring the yarn to the front. I insert my right hand needle through the second stitch as if to purl. I'm using my thumb to hold those stitches in place so they don't drop, and slip them off the left hand needle. And then I insert the left hand needle again through the knit stitch and then through the purl stitch, but you can leave it on both needles in this time. And then you purl that first stitch and knit the next one. So these two have changed place, and this beautiful knit column here travels to the left. Let's do it one more time. Bring the yarn to the front, insert the needle through the second stitch as if to purl, lock them in place and slip them off. Bring them back to the left hand needle and work them as purl and as knit one. And then I'm just going to work until I reach the end of my row here. You can see here that this knit column here doesn't have a purl stitch next to it anymore. That's just the selvage stitch, so I'm going to simply purl this one because I can't cross it anymore. And that's my selvage stitch. So I've crossed once, twice, 3 times in this row, and on the wrong side I'm not going to work the knit stitches. I'm going to slip them, and that makes sure that they really pop out and are really nice and graphic. So I'm going to work all knit stitches as knit stitches, and when I reach a purl bump, that is my knit column here on the other side, I bring the yarn to the front and slip the stitch purlwise with yarn in front. Let's look at the 1x1 left purl cross in English style knitting next. The knit stitch is going to travel to the left and the purl stitch is going behind the knit stitch to the right. And again, I have the yarn in front. I insert the needle through the second stitch from the back purlwise, slip the stitch off, bring the knit stitch back to the left hand needle, and then the purl stitch as well, but I'm going to leave the needle in there, the right hand needle in there, and I'm just going to purl this one here and then knit the knit stitch of my purl cross. Sorry. As you can see, I'm not the best at English style knitting, but I'm going to keep on purling until I reach my next. One by one purl cross, 1x1 left purl cross, and I'm going to again cross these two of each other by inserting the right hand needle through the second stitch purlwise, slipping them off the left hand needle, insert the left hand needle through the knit stitch first and then the purl, and then work them as purl 1 and knit 1. Okay, one more time. For the left 1x1 left purl cross, I insert my right hand needle through the second stitch purlwise. I'm going behind the first stitch. I slide both of my left hand needle, and then I bring the knit stitch back to the left hand needle first and then the purl stitch, and then I work them as purl 1 knit 1. And on the wrong side, I'm again going to slip all the stitches that are the knit stitches in the front. I'm going to slip them on the wrong side here as well, obviously. And that is how it looks when it's finished. Let's have a look at the 1x1 right purl cross in continental knitting next. So I'm going to purl these two stitches, and then I'm working the 1x1 right purl cross over these next two stitches, so the purl stitch and the knit stitch, and I want the knit stitch to move further to the right, and I'm going to do it in a way that the knit stitch stays in front and the purl stitch stays in back. And I'm going to simply insert my right hand needle through this knit stitch, so through the second stitch on the left hand needle as if to knit, and then I'm going to knit that stitch, and then I'm going to take both stitches, so the one that I've just worked and the purl stitch that is before that, I'm going to slip them off my left hand needle. And then I'm going to pick that purl stitch back up here with my left hand needle. So I already worked my knit stitch, and then I now need to still purl this purl stitch of the 1x1 right purl cross. And that's it. And for the next one, I'm going to purl to one stitch before the knit stitch, and I'm going to work another 1x1 right purl cross over these two stitches. So let's get a little closer here. I'm going to insert my right hand needle through this second stitch, the knit stitch. I'm going to knit that stitch, and then I'm slipping both the knit stitch that I've already worked and the purl stitch that I've not worked yet off my left hand needle carefully, and then again, right after that, I'm going to use my left hand needle to place that stitch back onto the left hand needle, the purl stitch back onto the left hand needle, and then I'm going to purl that stitch. Okay, let's do it one more time. I'm going to purl 2 and work a 1 by 1 right purl cross over the next 2 stitches. I knit the knit stitch, take both off the left hand needle, bring the purl stitch back onto the left hand needle and purl it. And now all the knit stitches are further to the right. On the wrong side, I'm again going to slip all the stitches that are the traveling stitches, the knit columns of traveling stitches, which are the purl stitches here. So I'm going to knit all the knit stitches and slip all the purl stitches purlwise with the yarn in front. That is just to make those traveling stitches pop out more, be more graphic. And finally, we'll have the 1 by 1 right purl cross in English style knitting. Again, working my selvage stitch here as a knit 1, and then I'm purling to 1 stitch before my knit stitch. So in this case, it's a purl 1 here at the beginning. And then I'm going to work my 1 by 1 right purl cross over these next 2 stitches. So I bring the yarn to the back and knit the second stitch on the needle. I'm skipping the first one and I knit the second one. Then I carefully slide both of them off my left hand needle, and I can place the purl stitch back onto the left hand needle, bring the yarn to the front and purl it. Let's do another one. I'm going to purl again those 2 stitches until I reach the 1 stitch before the knit stitch, and I'm going to cross the knit stitch over the purl stitch so that the knit stitch stays in front and the purl stitch stays in the back. By inserting my right hand needle, I'm going to skip this first one and I'm going to insert it through the front leg of the second stitch, and I'm going to work this as a knit 1. Oh, sorry, I made a yarn over here. So I have to first bring the yarn to the back and then knit this second stitch on the needle. Carefully take them off the left hand needle and bring the left stitch, the purl stitch back to the left hand needle and purl it. Okay, once more I'm going to purl these 2 stitches until I reach 1 stitch before this knit stitch here, and I'm going to 1 by 1 right purl cross these 2. I'm going to bring the yarn to the back because the next stitch I'm going to work is a knit 1. I'm going to skip the purl stitch and I'm going to insert my right hand needle through the front loop of the second stitch, and I'm going to knit this stitch. Then I'm going to take both stitches off my left hand needle and bring the purl stitch that is just hanging there back to the left hand needle and purl it. And that is the 1 by 1 right purl cross in English style knitting. Bring the yarn to the front, insert the needle through the second stitch as if to purl, lock them in place and slip them off, bring them back to the left hand needle and work them as purl and as knit 1. I'm going to insert my right hand needle through this second stitch, the knit stitch. I'm going to knit that stitch. and then I'm slipping both the knit stitch that I've already worked and the purl stitch that I've not worked yet off my left hand needle carefully, and then again right after that I'm going to use my left hand needle to place that stitch back onto the left hand needle, the purl stitch back onto the left hand needle, and then I'm going to purl that stitch. Cross these two of each other by inserting the right hand needle through the second stitch purlwise, slipping them off the left hand needle, insert the left hand needle through the knit stitch first and then the purl, and then work them as purl 1 and knit 1. I'm going to skip the purl stitch and I'm going to insert my right hand needle through the front loop of the second stitch, and I'm going to knit this stitch. Then I'm going to take both stitches off my left hand needle and bring the purl stitch that is just hanging there back to the left hand needle and purl it.